to Taken Up 2078, and today we will be talking about Matthew chapter 24, verses 40 and 41. So I've watched some videos on YouTube, heard a lot of people talking about this verse, and let's just read this paragraph just to kind of get a little bit of context and see what it's about. Okay. The day and the hour unknown. But about that day or hour no one knows, not even the angels in heaven, nor the Son, but only the Father. As it was in the days of Noah, so it will be in the coming of the Son of Man. For in the days of the flood, people were eating and drinking, marrying and giving up in marriage, up to the day Noah entered the ark. And they knew nothing that would happen until the flood came and took them all away. That is how it will be at the coming of the Son of Man. 2 men will be in the field, one will be taken, the other left. 2 will be grinding with the handmill, one will be taken, the other left. Alright, so let's start writing some stuff down. So, let's undo that. And let's thicken this up a little bit. Okay. Something's going on with my stylus. Matthew 24, verse 40 to 41. Okay. So there's a couple ways this is interpreted. Some people, everyone agrees that, well, okay, let me start off with explaining more of the context. So the disciples are asking Jesus about the end times. What's going to happen? When will they know of it? And what are the signs? So Jesus is explaining, and he goes through what will happen to the earth, what will happen to the people, what are the signs. And at this point, he's already talked about some of the signs that the earth will give. He's talked about some of the signs that you'll see in the world, like with culture. And now he's talking about people individually. What will it be like for the person individually? So he starts off by explaining nobody knows. Not even him, not the angels, no one knows. Not the Father. Even Satan doesn't know. Jesus doesn't know. Even Jesus doesn't know. Satan doesn't know. Only the Father. And as it were the days in Noah, so will it be in the coming of the Son of Man. So in the days of Noah, it says that people were eating and drinking and marrying and having a good old time. Now remember, in the days of Noah, the earth was very wicked, and God regretted his creation of mankind, depending on the version that you read. And he was so upset that he flooded the entire earth and killed almost everybody except for Noah and his family. And I guess there were a few stragglers that survived. That's talked about in other parts of the Bible. But let's not deviate. All right. So up to the day Noah entered the ark. So as you can see, this is verification that it started raining the very day Noah entered the ark. And they knew nothing about what would happen until the flood came and took them all away. So when we look at took them all away, it definitely means killed in this instance, right? So let's clear this really quick. Okay, don't save. New image. All right, so let's draw a little boat. Let's get a nice brown color. Okay. Okay. My stylus is acting kooky. All right, we're going to draw a big boat just so people can kind of get an idea. So Noah built a big boat and the standards that God told him to, made out of gopher wood. It was very, very large. I don't have the exact specifications, but Noah would have been tiny. And it probably had a ramp for people to get on and some doors. I don't know. Maybe the ramp went all the way up to the top. That would make more sense, huh? So maybe the ramp went like this, down to the ground. Okay. So we got our boat, and it began raining. All right, let's make that a little thinner. Might as well add the swatch. Wow, let me just use my mouse for this. All right, and now let's make it even thinner. All right, so we got rain. All right, notice the symbolism here. All right, so God is cleansing the earth with water. So that is interesting to note. And let's duplicate that. Let's make a new image. Let's go with black. Add swatch. Okay. So let's write this out. So we got a cleansing of the earth. Man, my stylus is not working today. Of let's make it a little bit bigger. Of the earth with water. Okay. Now we read later in Peter that the earth will be cleansed with fire, and the heavens, everything will be cleansed with fire. So when we read about the end times, and it talks about how it took them away, we can assume that the whole earth will not be cleansed, right? Because the Bible would have told us specifically, like when it's cleansed with fire. So water is a sign of rebirth, right? When you're baptized, you're born again. Fire is a sign of destruction, like I'm getting rid of it and starting anew. So when the earth was first cleansed with water, you could think of it as it was being born again. When it's cleansed with fire, it's being destroyed. And you can verify this when you go in Revelation, because it says a new heaven and a new earth. So I really don't think that what we're looking at here in this context is talking about cleansing, right? Because there's no method of cleansing that's described here. There is tribulations, there are terrible events that occur, there's catastrophes, but those are not going to cleanse the earth. There will still be there'll be 200 million people at least. So that's not a cleansed earth. Not anywhere near to what we saw with Noah's Ark. And they knew nothing about what would happen until the flood came and took them all away. So who is they? So for in the days before the flood, people were eating and drinking. So they knew nothing. So whoever they were, they're people who didn't know about the flood. Well, that's not Noah and his family who had faith in God. They're all the people who didn't have faith in God. So, use the mouse for that one. So who gets, let's see, and took them all away. Who got, all right, who got swept away? Faithless people. Okay. So notice how it says swept away, not taken. Those are totally different words. Well, I guess in this version it says took them all away. So, all right, we'll stick with that. We'll stick with that. But the flood came and took them all away. That's the key thing I'm trying to point out here. All right. That is how it will be at the coming of the Son of Man. So, all right, let's go back here. Faithless people, and then who got swept away, and how. How. How did they get swept away? By the flood. All right, let's put Noah's Ark for this one. Now let's do end times for this one. Who gets taken? How? All right. It doesn't specify in these verses who or how. So let's just get that clear. Two men will, this is how it will be at the coming of the Son of Man. Two men will be in the field, one will be taken and the other left. Two women will be grinding with a hand mill, one will be taken, one will be left. The other will be left. So it doesn't specify. But we do know that it says that is how it will be at the coming of the Son of Man. Therefore keep watch, because you do not know on what day your Lord will come. But understand this, if the owner of the house had known at what time of night the thief was coming, he would have kept watch and would not have let his house broken into. So you must be ready, because the Son of Man will come in an hour you do not expect him. Who then is the faithful and wise servant whom the master has put in charge of all the servants in his household to give them their food at the proper time? It will be good for that servant whose master finds him doing so when he returns. Truly I tell you, he will put him in charge of all his possessions. But suppose that the servant is wicked and says to himself, my master is staying a long time, and then begins to beat his fellow servants and to eat and drink with drunkards. The master of that servant will come on a day when he does not expect him, and at an hour he is not aware of. He will cut him to pieces and assign him a place with the hypocrites. There will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Okay. So this is where the division comes. Who gets taken is not so divisive. How they get taken, though, that's where most of the controversy comes. So who gets taken? It's pretty clear that this will be, as funny as it sounds, this will be organized, right? It's not going to be a catastrophe. So I'll put calamity. And then cross that off. Because it's not going to be a calamity. It's going to be very ordered. Because there'll be two people doing the exact same thing and only one will get taken. It's almost like they'll be chosen. Okay. How will they be taken? Well, we've gone through this in several of my other videos, but I strongly believe, and this is based off what Jesus says. Is it in the next parable? No. Okay. For now, let's just stick to this, and I don't want to make this video too long, but there's some evidence from these two verses of the rapture, right? Because they'll be taken and they'll probably be chosen. How isn't explained in this verse, but we know it'll be two people next to each other, and then one will just be there and one will just be gone. So, I mean, it'll be quick. So let's put quick. Might even put mysterious. Right? Starting to sound a lot like the rapture, huh? So, two men will be in the field, one will be taken, the other left. Two women will be grinding at the handmill, one will be taken, the other will be left. All right. Excuse me. Oh, here's the verse I was looking for. All right. I really like this verse. Okay. So let's back up, and maybe we can help answer this question. So if anyone tells you, there he is out in the wilderness, do not go. Here he is, even in the inner rooms, do not believe it. For as lightning comes from the east, is visible, even in the west, so will be the coming of the Son of Man. Wherever there is a carcass, the vultures will gather. Immediately after the distress of those days, then will appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. So, okay. There's a lot of evidence that what's going to happen is the Son of Man is going to come. So let's make a new little board. All right. Yeah, that's good. Make a new board, make that a little bit bigger. Okay. There's a lot of evidence that during the 7-year tribulation, okay, 7-year tribulation, that Jesus will come after. All right, let's just put JC for Jesus Christ. Will come after that. And here's a very strong evidence for that. Immediately after the distress of those days, the sun will be darkened, the moon will not give its light, the stars will fall from the skies, and the heavenly bodies will be shaken. I mean, that, to me, it can't be any more clear. That is a 7-year tribulation, and then immediately after, Jesus will come. And it says, and he will send his angels with a loud trumpet call, and they will gather his elect from the 4 winds. So, from one end of the heavens to the other. So there's some points I want to make out here. And I know that people don't always like the New International Version, so we can do the New King James Version as well. But this kind of supports this supports the most modern theory, probably the most popular theory of when Jesus is coming and how the rapture is going to work and how this is going to work in general. And he will send his angels with a loud trumpet call, and they will gather his elect from the four winds. So this is a separate event, okay? And the reason why is because they're gathered from heaven. So at this point, JC blows the trumpet. Our Lord Jesus Christ blows the trumpet. Angels, they don't get other angels, they get the elect. Get the... Oh. I really need a better stylus, boys and girls. Everybody. Get the elect. Oh man, that is way too big. Angels get the elect from, say it with me guys, heaven. Okay, not from earth, from heaven. All right. So I try my hardest to understand what the Bible is saying, how it's speaking, and it's not always chronological. Normally, they don't speak chronologically the way we do today. Even today, people don't speak chronologically. The way people speak is they try to be relative, like they try to relate things to each other, like a network almost, or a tree, where you have your root base point, base of the story, and then you branch off, almost going down a path, like a journey. Okay. So, after the tribulation, then Jesus will come and he will gather everyone from heaven. So, I know some people say that earth is included in this. I think you could argue that, and I think it's a reasonable argument. Me personally, I think it would say earth if it meant earth. Just the same way heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will never pass away. It says that there. I really truly believe that he's going to gather everyone from heaven. So if he gathered everyone from heaven, how did his elect get to heaven? Well, you know it. The elect are in heaven. Wow, that is supposed to be a cloud. Oh, this is kind of starting to look more like a turd than a cloud, but that's okay. It's a cloud. That's what it's supposed to be, a cloud. Okay. So, heaven. So people were taken from earth to heaven. Right? So we've already established that this doesn't explicitly say where we know they're taken from earth. We know that. Where are they taken to? Well, it doesn't say. Okay? But there's, in my opinion, this is probably the point where they're taken from earth to heaven. And I don't think it's chronological, because he starts again and he ends it with heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will never pass away. That's almost the end of the book of Revelation. This to me is like a whole new, like, he's not going chronological. Jesus isn't speaking chronologically here, because he's talking about the day and the hour no one knows. Right? Nobody knows. So first he went through chronologically what's going to happen, and then now he's kind of just giving details. What is like here he's almost elaborating on what he just said. I mean, he does it again here again. He starts all over again about the day of the Lord. And then here he elaborates even further on the people. So he starts off with talking about people and how they don't about how you don't know the day or the hour. So let's go back. All right. 2 men will be in the field, one will be taken and the other left. 2 women will be grinding with a handmill, one will be taken, the other left. So, we know this. There is a point where people are taken from earth to heaven. There is a point where people are taken from heaven to Jesus' side, back to come back to earth. We know that on the day of the Lord, when Jesus comes, because it's all in the same sense, he will send his angels with a loud trumpet call, and they will gather his elect from the 4 winds, from one end of the heavens to the other. All right, I'm going to end on that. I've been taking a little bit of a hiatus from this channel. I've been contemplating a lot of content and wondering, trying to understand better ways to present these topics to you. I personally enjoy just speaking about what I say, not preparing any notes beforehand, not studying anything beforehand, just reading the scripture and talking about what I feel like I'm being led to talk about. Thank you guys for watching. Have a blessed day.